I'm Adam Alley, and I'm here with Jacob Bird-Laddiser and Anthony DeBellis. And guys, maybe not the Super Bowl that everybody was expecting, but it was an interesting one to say the least. And we a lot of predictions that you made, Anthony, and we're gonna run through them and see how accurate you were. So you predicted the final score was 31-17. And the final score actually was 29-13. Is that something that surprised you, I guess?
You know what? No. And I don't want to sound kind of boastful, but looking back at my predictions I made in my preview article, some of them were actually pretty accurate. And this certainly was something I did see coming. I had the Seahawks winning by 14 points. They won by 16 points, so a little bit off there. But I just think that, it was something. The writing was on the wall. And I think for the Seattle Seahawks, they were just a much better team. Everyone knew that going into the game. And the Patriots just kind of looked shell-shocked early on in that one.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think you made a pretty solid prediction there. I honestly thought that it was gonna be a lot closer game than that. I believe I predicted 31-27. I thought it was gonna be a lot closer. I thought that the Patriots were gonna, put more points on the board than they ended up doing. But overall, I mean, it was just a great performance by the Seahawks. They kind of just took over that game defensively, and it was just a great performance all around.
Yeah, and being 0-9 or 9-0 at halftime, it was kind of like written in the stone that wasn't going to be that high scoring game and that tight. But you also predicted Super Bowl MVP was Sam Darnold, and I guess that didn't live up to the hype. But were you surprised that Sam Darnold didn't win MVP at the end of the game?
After the game, no. Kenneth Walker did deserve it more. But going into the game, I really did think it was going to be Sam Darnold. I really wasn't giving many other people on offense much of another chance to win it. I thought Jackson Smith and Jigba was going to kind of get taken out of the game, and that was going to open up tons of opportunities for other receivers on that Seattle team, and Sam Darnold was just going to pick apart that New England defense, which obviously wasn't the case. And Kenneth Walker had a great game, and he was probably the biggest reason why Seattle are champions.
Yeah, I thought that Sam Darnold probably had the best chance to take the MVP going into the Super Bowl. I mean, it's normally a quarterback's kind of, award. But, Kenneth Walker, I mean, absolutely incredible game. The most rushing yards in a Super Bowl since Terrell Davis back in the 90s. I mean, just incredible stuff from Kenneth Walker. Really just took over that game for the Seattle Seahawks. And I thought that Jackson Smith and Jigba probably, other than Sam Darnold, would have had the best chance. But, Christian Gonzalez, he kind of took him out of that game. JSN, he didn't necessarily have the best game. I mean, he still was a solid receiver. We put up some yards, but I really thought that he would get a touchdown in this game. I didn't see the Super Bowl happening without a JSN touchdown, but he wasn't able to get it.
Yeah, and you know what? Like you said, the quarterback usually gets the MVP, but I guess it's nice to have a little change every now and then. But also for MVP dark horse, you gave it to the Seahawks edge DeMarcus Lawrence, and obviously he didn't get the MVP. But how do you think his game was, or how did he play in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, well, looking back at that prediction, that was probably one of the ones where I was the most off on. But I still kind of think it was not necessarily close for DeMarcus Lawrence, but the reason why DeMarcus Lawrence was my dark horse pick to win the Super Bowl MVP is I thought the Seattle defensive line was going to be all over that Patriots offensive line and get a lot of pressure on Drake May, and they did. They sacked him 6 times. It wasn't DeMarcus Lawrence doing that. So going into the game, he was viewed as kind of their best edge rusher, but they got a lot of help from a sack standpoint from a lot of people. Byron Murphy and Derek Hall each had 2 apiece. So I think I was kind of on the right track, just picked the wrong player.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I want to give credit to another defensive player, Devon Witherspoon. He had an incredible game. Their cornerback, just great stuff from him all around. I don't think he necessarily put up an MVP caliber performance, but just great stuff from him.
And you also predicted that Drake May would struggle protecting the ball and turn it over. And, of course, he did throw for over 150 yards, but definitely didn't give the performance that people would have wanted, honestly.
Yeah, before garbage time going into that fourth quarter, he did set an NFL record for most passing yards in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl. That's because they were down. I don't even know if they ran the ball once in that fourth quarter. They were just trying to get any chance they could to get back into the game. But, yeah, he ended up turning it over 3 times. I predicted 2 or more in my article, so kind of spot on with that one there.
Yeah, I mean, you really were spot on. I mean, Drake May, he was kind of struggling a lot throughout the game. Like you mentioned, that fourth quarter, he really did, come into his own. But all around, it wasn't the best performance from him throughout most of the game. And 6 sacks throughout the whole game. I mean, rough stuff from him. The O-line was not doing him justice. But, yeah, all around, just not great on the turnover side for Drake May.
Well, you also predicted that the Patriots would struggle with Kenneth Walker, and you hit that right on the nail.
Yeah, in my initial prediction, I think I had him going for 75 yards and a touchdown. I was way off on the yards. He went way over that, and he actually didn't score a touchdown, but he still won Super Bowl MVP. So the big performance, I kind of did see it coming just for the fact New England's done a great job of stopping the runs prior to the Super Bowl in the postseason, but they have never gone against an offense like the Seahawks until the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised that Kenneth Walker didn't get a touchdown, but when you run for over 150 yards, especially against a good defensive team like the New England Patriots, who have one of the better run defenses in the entire league, and when you're able to take over the game like that, 153 rushing yards, most since, like I mentioned earlier, Terrell Davis, I mean, that is definitely a recipe to win Super Bowl MVP, and, Kenneth Walker, really just an all-around phenomenal performance for him.
Oh, definitely. And one that a lot of people thought that was going to have a crazy performance, Jackson Smith and Njigba, he didn't really have too well of a performance, but you predicted that New England would be their focal point on defense, and I think you hit that right on the nail as well.
Yeah, and he did leave the game with an injury, so I kind of feel like his stats would have obviously been better than the box score indicated. What do you have, 4 receptions for 20-something yards, I think. Not the best game from Jackson Smith and Jigba, who only needed, I think, 38 yards going into that game to eclipse 2,000 total in both the regular and the postseason. But yeah, Christian Gonzalez, I mean, he had an amazing game. We saw him get matched up with Jackson Smith and Jigba often. He made some great defensive plays, but then between JSN's injury and just the Patriots, they always had an answer for him. The Seattle offense had a hard time getting him the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba, I mean, he really did struggle. I thought that he would have a lot better of a performance. I mean, considering that, coming into this game, he was tied for 4th all-time in, yards, in scrimmage yards, 1,965 yards, all around just incredible season from him. So I really thought that he would have a stronger Super Bowl performance, but like you mentioned, the New England Patriots, they just had an answer for him at all times. Christian Gonzalez, just an incredible defensive performance from him.
Yeah, and any overall thoughts from the whole game in general? At halftime, there wasn't a touchdown made, and there was 3 field goals scored by Seattle only. It seems like they pretty much ran away with this game.
Yeah, I thought it was a very boring Super Bowl. A lot of the points came in that fourth quarter, but by the fourth quarter, I was already checked out. Right when I saw the score at halftime, 9-0, I was cheering for the Seattle Seahawks kicker, Jason Myers, to win MVP. That's what I was rooting for the rest of the game after seeing how that first half played out. But, obviously, I think everyone kind of knew the team that came out of the NFC was going to be at an advantage. The AFC was just a lot weaker this year than it's been in years past, and obviously no Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. I'm sure that had to do with kind of all that stuff.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I was right there with you on the Jason Myers MVP train. I mean, he was cooking during the Super Bowl. I mean, 60-yard field goal, just great stuff from him. But I did think it was a pretty boring Super Bowl overall. Not a lot of exciting moments. It was more of like a defensive kind of chess match game, which is appealing to some people. But overall, for the Super Bowl, you want those big runs, you want
100%.
those exciting touchdowns.
Yep.
Those are the big moments that you remember. And overall, it was just kind of lacked some big moments like that.
Yeah, it definitely did not live up to the hype. But the Seattle Seahawks are now the Super Bowl winners, and they're going to go to the offseason now for the NFL in general. But it's been Adam Alley, Jacob Bird-Ladouceur, and Anthony DeBellis. Thank you for listening to our first episode of Move the Chains Media. I'm Adam Alley with Jacob Bird-Ladouceur and Anthony DeBellis. If you want to listen to more episodes, check out our website at movethechainsmedia.com.